Welcome to another episode of Box Seat. Box Seat is a podcast featuring some of the best consumer brands from Britain. We're looking to give up to £1 million in funding to the future consumer brands of tomorrow. Brands that not only want to be profitable, but make a better world. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce the infamous, I'm going to say infamous, because I've just come off watching your YouTube video and I'd actually previously seen some of them. James Griffith from Mous Accessories. Welcome to Box Seat.
Thank you very much. And
do you know what? I don't think I've ever had anyone more energetic sitting in a box seat before. So welcome, James.
I've got to bring the energy for two, right?
You can bring it for a whole team.
I mean, you've got a lot of energy.
No, not
energy is infectious. Emotions are infectious with the team, right?
But
positive and negative.
Your energy is off the scale, you know. So listen, for the benefit of the viewers, just give us a little introduction and I guess a 90-second intro to Mous.
Okay, so Mous makes functional products, so products that need to perform, and we push that performance with our biggest team, our product development team. So this is old school. We're talking mechanical engineers, and they push the limits of all these products: cases, backpacks, luggage, wireless chargers, and more. And then we demonstrate how good these products are.
You definitely demonstrate.
With our content and our in-house content team. So if you've seen people throwing phones outside the Apple store or backpacks out of helicopters, that's most probably us.
I think I came across you a couple of years ago when you threw a phone off a big sort of hydraulic lift type thing, and it bounced off the ground. So your videos are viral.
The first time we did that, so the first time we rented a cherry picker, that was
the word I was looking for.
Yeah, that was with our own phones.
Right.
Because we had
You're not grabbing my phone.
Yeah, we lived in China for 3 years. And we'd moved to mass manufacturing, injection molding, tooling, really expensive stuff. Had to expand a range across loads of iPhones. So we were completely out of cash. And so we had to use our own phones because we were down to the very last penny.
What happens if you broke them?
And luckily it worked.
It worked
first time at 45 foot. We did go to 60 foot and it did break.
Right.
Yeah.
What, like the Elon Musk with the cyber car? Not as bad. Talk about a test going so bad.
We often show our products not performing in our ads.
Yeah. Just
to show that nothing makes your tech indestructible, and people love that. When we do make a mistake, we show that off.
Well, I think dropping from 45 foot is enough.
Yeah.
Some of my phones have not survived the drop from 3 foot. So it's a very low bar.
Yeah.
So come on, tell us about your journey. How did you get into it? I mean, I absolutely love the story about you relocating to China. So tell me about your journey up to that point.
So I used to work at Procter & Gamble, so big consumer goods brand.
I got turned down by them in their graduate program.
You wouldn't have fitted in, to be fair. I didn't either. I had a funny time after the interview. They gave me a load of free product. They gave me a load of Gillette stuff.
Okay.
And on the train back, I was like, oh, this is new fancy, gel and compressed bottle. So I went to pour it out, onto my hand, just to have a little. Oh, it was quite nice.
Yeah.
And because it was compressed, it shot across the carriage and hit this guy who was going on his way to work fully suited.
Oh my goodness.
You know how much stuff that it lavers up?
Yeah.
So he didn't know what had hit him. So he just starts rubbing his face. Yeah. Covered in it. It was so awkward.
I could imagine that being awkward.
Yeah, very awkward. Anyway, we're going off track.
Yeah, so go on, tell us.
So Procter & Gamble. So
you went to university, presumably.
I always wanted to have a consumer brand. I had
really? At university?
Because I had my own business at uni.
I had my own business. I used to run clubs. I didn't want to run a consumer brand.
Yeah, well...
Yeah. Or club night, shall I say?
Yeah. Well, yeah, so I was similar.
Yeah.
But I was also selling product online So when I first got student loan, I was like, oh, all this cash flow. So bought a load of lambskin
live
gloves.
off that.
Yeah, exactly. Bought a load of lambskin gloves. Then my hallmates would kind of like knock on the door, and there'd be boxes everywhere, and then they'd be thinking, "You unpack
lambskin gloves." What did you see as the opportunity with lambskin?
Well, it was getting cold, wasn't it? September. And yeah, so I remember getting told off by my course that they were pissed off that I wasn't going into any lectures. But so I would spend a lot of my time running my own business, and even people on the course would start doing shipping for me and that kind of stuff. So then I was like, oh, do I go? I did an internship at RBS in the crash, which is quite an interesting thing.
Royal Bank of Scotland.
Yeah. Do you do the whole kind of done maths, go into banking? But then thought, oh, Procter & Gamble will be interesting because they're one of the famous consumer brands.
The graduate brand program.
Exactly, yeah.
Brand manager program.
Yeah. So I worked on about 30 different brands. And
which ones? They're so boring, aren't they?
Well, no, it's good fun. I mean, you switch around from, one day.
What was the most boring product you worked on?
I found it all quite interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Go on, okay.
Well, as in like.
Well, what was the most interesting product you worked on, just to scale it?
I found Pringles was an interesting one. I don't know whether this is a true story, but I got told that the guy who started Pringles was a guy who worked in logistics, and he found the idea of shipping bags of crisps around, which is mainly air, was really inefficient. So stacked the crisps into Pringles. And I don't know if this is true, although having me on, but he also got buried in a Pringles can.
No, he didn't. No, that can't be true.
Then there was Sonny D. I was around with Sonny D times, but that was interesting, speaking to the more senior individuals that had experienced people. Well,
what was Sonny D?
Sonny D was this orange juice that basically exploded, and they were selling more than Coca-Cola. And they were like, "Oh my god, we're selling." What
was that? The thing it was sort of in a packet you put a straw in.
That was Capri Sun.
That's right.
They put this orange. It was an orange drink in the refrigerated area, and they got to the point that we're selling more than Coca-Cola, and they were like, "We're marketing geniuses."
Okay.
But then they had an ad at the time, which was a snowman drinking the drink and going orange, and there was a kid, I think in the US, who drank so much Sunny D.
He went orange. I remember that.
And the brand tanked.
Right. Okay. No wonder. Well, it's a cheap way of getting a tan.
Yeah, so I would say there was interesting stuff about everything, I'd say.
So anyway, you did Procter & Gamble.
Tried to set up a beauty direct consumer business that was a complete disaster because I wasn't I'd understood the category. Beauty? I was interested in all of the different areas. I was more interested in the business model than I was the category. And then thought, made a friend, Josh, who was designing a phone case that wound in headphones.
Right.
Which I was like, wow, this is really quite unique to solve your lost and tangled headphones. And I was kind of thinking, oh, maybe to succeed, you need to be unique, because I mean, you're on Amazon and you type in anything and you get 10,000 results.
Special.
So maybe you need to be unique. But it turns out that some things are so unique because no one actually wants them. And that was
very true. Yeah.
And that
the
was
wheel
one of
is
those
round,
products.
it's not a triangle.
Yeah.
You don't need to make a triangle wheel.
Exactly. So that was our first product, and it was a complete disaster. So after, I think, losing our life savings.
So the product that wound the headphones.
Product that wound in your headphones. We hadn't really done a great design, and the main thing we'd struggled at, which I'm sure you've got loads of experience with, it was manufacturing.
Yeah.
Because we weren't on the ground.
Yeah.
And we were small, so no one cared about us. So we needed to be overseeing our manufacturing. Anyway, we lost our life savings in about 6 months.
You learnt a big lesson though.
Yeah.
An important one. What did you learn?
Oh man, you actually learned more in that 6 months than you would do at 3 years of uni, right?
2, right? Or 3 years of work in corporate world.
Yeah. But I think sometimes there's certain areas of the business you just need to be all over.
Yeah.
And the manufacturing for us was one of those things. And we decided, instead of kind of going and get jobs again, let's move to China. Because also we were looking at how long we had left till we had to get a job.
Yeah.
And it was a matter of kind of months in London. But then if we moved to China, we were like, oh, wait a minute, we can eat
2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh, well, it increases the time and it increases the learning. So
I love that you moved to China because you were closer to the source of manufacturing, and that's the sort of commitment that you need. I made out of China products for 10 years, and those trips to China, I never actually relocated to China or Hong Kong, but we would regularly visit factories, and those times in factories were invaluable. Because you engineer products from the reverse way, from a manufacturing perspective. You look, what can they make? And then, oh, I know what they can make. Now this product would really suit it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then also you just when you were in China,
Whereabouts in China?
We lived near Dongguan.
Yeah. Guangdong and Dongguan. That's where I used to make product.
Yeah.
So southern China.
Yeah. And then, we found actually that all you needed to do was find the real experts and just ask for help.
But why did you choose to actually, when you say you moved to China, did you physically live in China? Or did you live in Hong Kong?
We were living in China. I would spend more time flying back and meeting Western businesses. Will is still in China.
You still left him behind.
He's there. Well, Is
that your partner?
He's in China or Indonesia, depending on where we are for manufacturing. And he's still there. He's been there for coming up to 10 years now.
But why not live in Shenzhen or Hong Kong? And most expats or even anyone who's doing product
I think
would visit the factory, not go live where the factory is.
We're passionate, relentless people. So as in, you don't want to be an hour away. You want to be able to turn up.
Wow.
Right? And I think it actually really forms quite a relationship with the suppliers.
Totally.
Because they're like, these
no
guys.
No one else would do it.
No.
No one else is that crazy. You strike me as crazy in a good way, by the way.
So then we made our money back that we'd lost from doing consultancy.
Yeah.
We didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
Most consultants don't.
No.
Right? So
not all of them. This is the personal opinion. It's not the opinion of the whole podcast. No, you're right. There's a lot of consultants that bullshit.
Exactly. So we were one of the many.
Yeah. But you weren't. You were.
Well, initially we didn't know what we were doing, and I would go win us a business, and then we would kind of be like, right, we're experts in making coffee machines now, guys. And then we would become experts. So it would go from kind of fake it till you make it to making it.
So what did you learn?
Then it's a lot of kind of fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
The true kind of product development from beginning to end, mass manufacturing, design for manufacture, all the processes, all of the relationships, so much.
Okay.
And we did that business for about 3 years.
And how did you get into Mous?
We were doing some consulting with some tech accessory businesses, and we were essentially consulting on protective phone cases.
Because what, were you acting as a buying agent?
We would doing the development.
Okay.
So because often you can go to a factory and you can source stuff.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to push the boundaries of performance, then they don't want to do that. They don't want to do R&D.
So effectively, you acted as an on-the-ground R&D and development consultant.
Correct, yeah.
Love it.
And then once we developed some products, we'd also then start to mass manufacture them. Because then we were like, we've done the development. Do you want to manufacture them yourself working with the factories, or do you want us to do that work? So we'd started to understand the industry, and then we were throwing some phones around, learning to protect phones.
Yeah.
And
for the client at the time.
And then we realized some of the most popular, some really big businesses were selling phone cases that were made out of TPU, and they were really, they weren't very stiff.
Yeah.
But you need a case. You need a case to be stiff to protect the phone. That's like a key fundamental. If it's not stiff, it will just peel off and the screen will hit the floor.
Yeah.
Or the phone will bend, or torsion and twisting, all sorts of stuff. So the fundamentals in some very high selling products, high volume products, were just wrong.
They look good, but they weren't fit for purpose.
Exactly. Yeah.
They weren't actually functional.
Before we went down the protective route, we'd already started doing the functional side of things with the phone case that wound in your headphones.
Yeah.
And we had made that modular. And when that was modular with magnets, so you could take the functional thing off, people really preferred it. So we then developed a modular system of accessories for phones. This is way before Apple did MagSafe. So we were a pioneer of that.
Beautiful. So you're a pioneer of that. How did Mous come about?
Sorry. So then we were thinking we need to do the base product, the case needs to be really good. And then we launched that on reward-based crowdfunding, Indiegogo.
You did well on that.
Yeah, so we got...
Didn't you raise 2.5 million?
Yeah.
Did my homework.
we wanted 50K.
Is that when you first threw it off the building?
Initially, when we launched, it didn't work very well at all, actually. It was kind of tumbleweed for 2 weeks and then it picked up. But yeah, we threw it off a crane.
Was that the moment that things changed, that going viral?
I think the first thing that really changed is when we started throwing stuff outside the Apple store.
Right.
That's when we realized that we were on something. Because then it was in front of the public, so you could.
What about if it hit somebody? Well, don't worry, we've got no money.
You need to be careful.
Oh no. How do you be careful when throwing a phone in front of an Apple store? They sort of get busy.
Yeah.
Oh shit, a customer's just come out.
But anyway, so
you got away with it.
We got a feel for things because that's live, with the public, and then everyone's loving it and cheering, and then you realize you're on something.
Wow. So basically at that moment in time, you developed this new protective case, and then you raised this crowdfund, and the next minute you're in business. You raised 2.5 million. What valuation did you raise at?
So it's reward based. So we were just doing pre-orders. So
you got 2.5 million of orders for a brand new company, and that was it.
It was very difficult, as in it's very difficult.
How difficult? No, that wasn't difficult. You had all of the customers, and all you had to do was make the product, and you were going to make money, and that financed your business.
Versus working with investors and stuff.
Yeah.
It's much better, right?
Genius.
Well,
no, it is genius, because it's not only that. Not only did you fund the business, but you got a relationship directly with your customers.
Yeah.
And they got to see you.
Yeah.
Come on, whose idea was it to throw the phone off? It was yours, wasn't it?
It evolved over time.
You seem to me to be a phone thrower.
It evolved over time. Phone thrower. Yeah, but we started split testing different content, and people loved throwing the phone.
So your energy is infectious, and it really comes across in the film. And I sense a little bit of ADHD in you.
And you're mostly the same.
Yeah, well, my wife I think I'm undiagnosed ADHD. So, are you ADHD, and how does that play a role in you being successful? Because there's obviously other entrepreneurs that have got ADHD. I think Richard Branson. Definitely Jamie Lang has got it from Candy Kitten. There's quite a few. Yeah, and God knows what Elon Musk has got. He's got everything.
Yeah, I'd say most founders that I've met seem to have something like that. Don't they?
How does it give you your power?
For me, it's because I was so dyslexic at school. I was so bad at reading, and
you were great at maths.
But they make they go around the class, don't they? And everyone has to read. And then they do that for years, don't they? It's like torture.
Yeah.
So they would get to me, and I just couldn't do it. And you don't have the confidence to just say, I can't read, move to the next person. So you just have this weekly...
because, I mean, you're a bit younger than me, but before they just called you thick.
Yeah.
Which, fortunately now it's diagnosed. But the reality is you were just super bright. You were just super bright in a different way. Your creative mind and your creativity and your maths and creativity, as you know, are really related. That was hyper developed.
I mean, the good thing about having certain weaknesses is then you develop other areas to mask over that weakness.
Yeah, you couldn't have done a degree in maths unless you were incredibly bright.
So I was pretty crap at a load of stuff. So I had to get good at other things to kind of work to create your own system, right? So delegation's always been.
Are you quite impatient?
Yeah.
Because that's often a trait.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. That's that sort of impatient with, like, I don't need to follow the rules. I just want to get from A to B. And in my early years, I was really like that. I was really a terrible people manager. I'm not so good now. But I'm getting a little bit better. But I was impatient. And that was often a trait of, I think, being sort of on the spectrum of ADHD or whatever it is, which is not a bad thing sometimes for an entrepreneur. No. You want to get from A to B as quick as possible. And sometimes you forget some of the niceties that go along with that. And you get impatient with just the status quo.
Yeah.
This is like a therapy session.
Yeah.
You're saving me a fortune.
For me, it's all about kind of getting a great group of people around you. So if you do have weaknesses, you've always got a strength. I kind of think that building a team is almost like a game of top trumps where you have like different cards. And,
totally.
You have no card's got 5 stars for everything. And I've never met anyone who's 5 stars at anything.
And nor do you want it.
Yeah, you just want to look at people's strengths, and then you want a group of people around you who are really great at different things.
Like a football team.
Yeah.
Everyone can't play up front. Somebody's got to be in goal.
Exactly. Right.
And they've got to like it, and that's the reality of things. And, running a company is like running a football team often, and no one is perfect. Okay, so let's back to product.
Sorry, yeah.
You've got this innate curiosity, I guess, right? So you launched your product, and what happened then? You got this incredible, people buying your product beforehand.
We had a few nightmares. So we changed our magnetic ecosystem a few different times. Things were going really well.
Yeah.
So I guaranteed 2.5 million in debt and bought as much stock as we could.
Yeah. So that was 2.5 million of orders that you have to fulfill.
No, so I can't remember the numbers exactly, but we borrowed around 2.5 million in debt.
Wow. Based on the forward order position you
Correct.
had.
Yeah, based on the forward order position.
Smart.
And then Apple moved where the compass was, and this was our kind of like early magnetic ecosystem. And we were doing so well.
You were like, shit. I didn't see
I
this coming.
Threw the phone in front of the Apple store. It like popped off big time. There was loads of press there. So it ended up in all the newspapers and stuff. Like really that wasn't us doing. That was the press paparazzing the Pro. That night, I was rotating spend on Meta ads on credit cards because we were scaling spend so much that Facebook at the time thought that we
loving
thought
all of this.
They thought we were fraudulent.
Yeah.
So I was like, I remember being on the phone to them, being like, I want to spend more money, and they're like, well, you can only spend £5,000 per account. So I was like, stuff this. I'm going to set up a new account, redo all of the ads.
Wow.
And then I was trying to set up a new ad account quick enough. By the time the other ad account was running out of money, put on a new credit card, go round, keep going.
Wow.
And then it got to Saturday night, and I was like, I'm gonna go on a date.
You had enough time for that.
And then got lost because Apple had moved the compass, and so our phones basically repelled the iPhone and got you lost. Okay, so sorry, we didn't ship them.
Your phones affected the iPhone.
The case, yeah.
Okay.
And so we had all this debt, 2.5 million quid of debt, and our cases basically weren't compatible with the phone.
Wow.
So we were completely.
Is that because
doomed.
they changed in terms of the way they were doing things?
Yeah.
Because there's normally like developer sort of programs. So
yeah, and
did you attend any of them?
Oh yeah, we spoke to lots of people. I remember speaking to some retailers as well. They're like, "Why would you want a magnetic phone case?" Now all Apple cases have magnets in.
Yeah.
So we pioneered it. We had a lot of challenges on the way, and we changed the system and got to quite a big ecosystem. And then eventually MagSafe happened. That was also quite a shock because once again we had a whole ecosystem that wasn't compatible.
Wow.
So we had a few near-death experiences.
Yeah. And what did you learn from that?
Sometimes the most innovative and impressive things are also like risky. I don't know. There's so many things we learn.
Can't
from
be
that.
risk averse.
No, there's so many things that we learned from that. I'm trying to think like what would be the biggest thing, but I think we just got strong. The team just got stronger and stronger and stronger because we initially in the early days we had so many times of real we're fucked.
Yeah.
And then you kind of pull together and find a way through.
The adversity helped.
Yeah.
It made you. Yeah, it does. Okay, so let's now speak now. Okay.
Yeah.
So where are you as a company now? What are your best selling products? What are you renowned for? Why does the customer buy from Mous?
Best selling products are protective phone cases.
Show me some.
Yeah.
Come on.
So we've got. I mean, this is what.
And why? Because it's such a good protective phone case.
Yeah, there's many parts in there. It's triple injection. You've got real
you show
Kevlar.
You don't need to throw anymore. We've got the throwing done.
You've got the throwing. You've got real Kevlar on the back. No, we had an issue with cases debonding. So there's quite a clever way that we've bonded this all together so it lasts. Because I mean they go through it. This is a product that is used more than...
Well, this is an expensive product, so...
Yeah, you use it
want to have a good case.
Every hour of the day, don't you? So you need it to really last. And that has been an issue for us.
Yeah.
It's like we could make at first we could make a really protective case, but then after 2 years, people would need to replace it.
Yeah.
This is our 6th generation case, and we do improve it each year.
Okay.
And there are amazing, the team is phenomenal engineers working on this.
Wow.
Then we've got Intralock. So
is that for your bike?
Yeah, and bike and motorbike.
How's that attaching on?
So this is actually a content creator thing, so you can put it onto content. But we do all sorts of...
it clips in.
Yeah, all sorts, and this is awesome. So you want magnets in the case so you can attach it to various things, but also align wireless charging coils. So you get faster charge.
Okay.
But then this is mechanical mounting. So that allows you to
clip it off.
But yeah, fastest growing category is backpacks without a doubt.
Is this with your new, is it Airlock?
We started using AeroShock, which with the cases, which is TPE that helps absorb the impact.
Yeah.
However, as we started protecting larger devices, we needed to find different materials.
So you got a proprietary
and
technology that makes your bags more shock absorbent.
Yeah. So if we get
look, this is really active. Keep moving.
This is our first one. This is the Mous Extreme Commuter, and this is our first one. There's all sorts of stuff in there,
and it's just shock absorbent.
Yes.
So if you had a bike accident like I did, your laptop's protected.
It's more for daily use, but yeah, fair enough.
Well, there's an example.
yeah, fair enough.
But daily use, I'm not throwing it off.
Yeah, but I don't think everyone's falling. Yeah, maybe.
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah. I've got a whole warning sign about that, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
And so this is our first one, which is the Extreme Commuter. But recently, only launched this week, is this is Mous in collaboration with Mercedes, Petronas, Mercedes, AMG, Petronas, F1 team. I need to always make sure, right?
And has that got that technology in it?
It does, yeah.
So really protective case.
So they travel to 24 races a year.
Yeah.
And they've got a team of 200 people, and they've got fantastic...
Look at you adjusting your mic. You know what you're doing and everything with that.
Fantastic people.
Yeah.
all sorts of engineers. They really care about the performance of their products. They can care about the performance of everything. With this bag, they wanted top performance. They wanted protection, but they wanted it to be much lighter.
Yeah.
So we actually developed this bag especially for their team of 200 people. That? And yeah, you can now buy it online.
Can you? Wow.
I think this one's slightly custom because they're taking it from the office and it's mostly a prototype. Will
Mercedes sell it in their dealerships?
Yeah, they're selling it at the moment. Yeah.
Well done.
So
love that.
It's been great working with them. Yeah, great working with them. Yeah. We did a pop up in Boxpark.
I know, a very nice one.
Oh, thank you.
I liked it. I really liked the look of it. When it comes to your product, I think did you ever watch the film Jerry Maguire?
No.
Me too. Very profound. Let me tell you, there's some very profound statements in it, but you had me at a low was one of the lines in it, the famous lines, and you had me at a low with your products. I can see your products are filling a need. They're special. They protect. They're functional. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah.
How do you, in one line, describe your product line?
So we used to spend loads of time thinking about, do we sell
this
like
is getting a whole paragraph
emotion, or we just want to try and make the best?
But that's so ambiguous. What do you mean the best?
I think
the most protective.
I think if something,
the best looking,
the highest performance. So
highest performance
in whatever it needs to do, because with a bag, it might be around, for someone, it might be about how lightweight it is, or how waterproof it is, or how durable the material is. There's a lot of different
performance accessories.
It's all about performance.
Okay, it's all about performance. Okay, you're going to make a car. My car's about performance.
No, it's about life accessories. Accessories.
Performance life accessories.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And
good old product marketing. No kind of.
I like your niche. It's all about performance and functionality.
Yeah. We've developed this luggage that's over there.
Okay.
That's super lightweight.
Come on, bring it over.
This is so if you think about luggage, it's more about how durable can it be whilst remaining lightweight. Because the key thing that's happening with luggage,
lightweight most of the time, durable.
Most of the time with luggage, you're flying it.
Yeah.
So how heavy your luggage is quite key. That's why they are constantly reducing the weight restrictions. The lighter the planes, the less jet fuel they use.
This is high performance.
Yeah. And so this luggage, the shell is very, very lightweight. It's very thin. But if you compared it to, say, a polycarbonate shell, which is the most common, theirs can crack quite easily. So they have to make it very thick. So you end up with a very heavy shell. But we haven't gone light on the wheels. We haven't gone light on the handle and all that kind of stuff because people really want them to be really, really durable. So we've got super durable wheels and ball bearings and all of the bits that can break.
I'm thinking to myself, that looks good. I fancy one of them.
And then, so last week we were doing a little pilot to see what the content's going to be like, and we were throwing it out of a hot air balloon, and then getting people to jump out. How did the wheels do? It was all good. We threw out a competitor.
Isn't that your weak spot?
Wheels.
You threw out a competitor.
We threw out competitors, and it was absolutely. And ours. This is a prototype, so it's not as good as the real deal will be. Yeah. So there was some minor cracks.
Yeah.
But
you're working in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had to get the content. We were free falling. People were free falling with the luggage.
So it's almost performance accessory for the urban customer.
Yeah.
Because there is that real feel as though this is what that urban traveller that's travelling a lot, that's moving around. Yeah, he needs all of these sort of things.
Well, what makes Mous special from a business standpoint is basically it's when we combine product capability with so that we do that all in-house, with our stunts to show off that capability with our in-house content team. So it's the overlap of those two. So you've almost got a Dyson on the right, and you've got like a kind of Red Bull on the left.
It's Dyson meets Red Bull.
I mean, we're nowhere near as good as product development as Dyson.
But the concept
or content as Red Bull, but we're pretty good. And when we and it's the overlap of the two when it's really special. So everything we do in terms of the performance, we're developing stuff where we can show that in good old school product marketing.
I'm not a fan of Dyson. Big
No?
Brexiteer. Sorry, I've got to say it. I used to be a fan. James, you're listening, but you lost all credibility when you came out and said Brexit was going to be good, and then you pissed off to Singapore. So, no, we're not having that. You're better than Dyson. Okay, sorry, I've got to say that. So let's move on to traffic. Okay, so you've got this great product, massive tick. I'm sold on that. How are you generating cost-efficient traffic and customers?
And that's where it's all about engaging content. So we really, put a lot
Throwing
of work into
stuff. The stunts.
Just
letting it go
lots of
viral.
stunts. Yeah.
You're the modern day Richard Branson. You're going to be up in a hot air balloon soon.
That is, yeah. But I wouldn't, the hot air balloon, not a modern day Richard Branson, but yeah.
I do you mind me saying, I'd like to volunteer to sort of, you got those big balls that you get into, sometimes you roll down.
Oh my God.
I'd like to roll you down Devil's Dyke, which is at the top of my house. I like to volunteer with your protective, and see if you survive.
I'll be up for that. I would be up for that. Yeah.
Okay.
I would be up for that.
I will put you up in my house. Okay.
And we'll roll down.
Yeah. No, where's the we?
Yeah,
I didn't say we. No.
Well.
I get motion sickness. There's no we. No, I'm the pusher. You're the stuntman.
Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Please, I'm inviting you. You've heard this. I'm rolling him down Devil's Dyke in Sussex, one of the most famous attractions in Britain. You're going to the bottom of the hill. So build yourself a really protective,
whatever they're
air ball.
Yeah, air ball. Yeah.
But this is extreme.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So you really are generating organic traffic, really, and I love that.
Well, there's quite a lot. There's a lot of paid.
And it's paid.
There's a lot of paid.
Yeah. But,
but actually over time, we've been spending less on marketing, and we're still growing. So we're becoming much more profitable.
How do buyers buy your product? Is it
mainly
D2C?
D2C? Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
So give us the percentage breakdown.
So it's like 85% our website, and then 15% Amazon, which so we're mainly focused on D2C.
Okay.
We are doing some projects on the B2B retail side of things.
Yeah.
And we've stayed away from retail because actually retail can be really tough.
It can also be an amazing way to show your product.
Exactly.
Because it's not exactly cheap to get online traffic.
No. And so the thinking was, we're not going to be able to grow a brand initially in retail. We need to do that ourselves. Because if we just said kind of like, put us on the shelves to, I don't know, John Lewis or whoever, they're not going to really grow that early stage brand.
But it will now.
But now, as we've kind of started to build more of a brand, retail would be really useful.
I think more than useful.
And also, if you look at the market for premium cases and premium backpacks and premium luggage, far more of the market is bricks and mortar. Online, Amazon is mainly quite low price products. Amazon's algorithm is just trying to find volume.
Look, Richard Branson once famously said, you should never compromise your brand, and you can't replace the touch and feel of product of a store. Yeah. Okay. And if you really understand consumer retail, there's 3 things that you got to be really good at. And that's what we talk about in this podcast. You got to have fantastic product. Well, clearly being able to show your product in store, it's irreplaceable. That's why Apple launched stores. That's why Apple believe in stores. But don't judge your performance by, whether you sell things in store. Actually, they're your churches to sell your product, but where the sale happens, whether it's online or Amazon or wherever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But it's the touch and feel. Yeah. Then next, it's about creating traffic to your product. You've got to make sure that you can have the best product in the world, but you've got to create traffic, and it's got to be cost efficient traffic. And the problem is now is actually getting cost efficient traffic online is really expensive. Yeah. You could be easily paying £100 to acquire every customer, right? In terms, it could cost £1 a click for luggage, and you might only be selling that product for £100. I know you probably are selling it for more. So, or £200. That's going to be 100% of your profit gone to acquire that customer. Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not the most efficient way of doing things. And then finally, it's about conversion, which is online conversion is 1 in 100 customers. If you're lucky, 2 in 100 customers. Well, in store is 1 in 100. So I actually believe there's a really strong reason to have physical retail. That's why people like Elon Musk launched Tesla in physical stores. That's why Steve Jobs believed so much in stores and still does to this day. So I could see you being in John Lewis, and I could see you being in Selfridges.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not so sure about an own brand store at the moment. I think that you just need to get in front of their traffic and get as many people trying your product. But I do see a path for you in that.
Yeah, that's why we did the test in Boxpark.
Yeah.
To learn, because you can only learn so much with focus groups. Whereas actually having your own...
Yeah.
A pop-up was great. It's near our office.
And you should have created loads of Instagram traffic by doing
loads.
It's not so much about the sales that you made there. It's actually use it as an event venue. That's when it worked really well. I mean, Nike Fuel Band did their biggest, which was Nike's biggest ever product launch, was launched at Boxpark. Anyway, so I've got the traffic. Now let's talk about your team, okay? How many in your team?
It's about 140.
Wow. Okay. Who are the founders?
So Josh, who originally started, he left quite a few years ago. Will's still in China and Indonesia. And Lucy,
Unlucky Will.
Lucy's in the London office, working a lot on brand.
So there's
and
three
content.
of you?
Well, three in the business, yeah.
Okay. And you're based in London?
Yeah, London and in China is our main offices, and also we've got an office in Pakistan and office in Philippines as well.
What percentage of your sales are in the UK and next US and then rest of the world?
So it goes US 40%, UK about 20, 25, and then it starts to fragment from there. We ship to well over 100 countries.
Okay, and how do you deal with the shipping in the US?
We have a 3PL there.
Yeah. Third-party logistics for all of those that don't know.
Yeah. 3PL. Yeah, third-party logistics there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we still ship to Australia from the UK.
Crazy.
As in, like, more warehouses would be good. There's so much to optimize with our business.
Yeah.
I mean,
have you got a US office?
No.
You do not have a US sales office. When you're doing 40% of your sales.
Well, it's all done on Insta and stuff, so.
Yeah, but still, it's about understanding that market.
I know, but I think we just need to nail the basics at the moment in terms of, if you're French, you see the ads in English, and we might charge incorrect currencies. There's so much in our business that's so under optimized. Yeah, and it's just about nailing the basics,
which I love. And what about your relationship with Apple? And Samsung.
We've got a great relationship with Google. So we've done some collaborations with Google where we've actually collaborated with their design team that designed the phone, and then designed some like super thin case, which is a case that's designed for people who hate cases. We did that in collaboration with the design team, and we've got some more projects coming up as well.
If I go into an Apple store, am I going to see Mouse product?
That's one day, hey?
Why?
One day.
You met with Tim.
I've popped up in front of him a few times and said I want to be in the Apple store. I'll just keep doing it.
Why? But he stopped some of your competitors, which, to be frank, are inferior to you in terms of performance.
I mean, they're quite big businesses.
I won't mention the names.
They're quite big businesses. I think when we're bigger, then I think we've got a shot at it.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, so let's talk about financials. So how long have you been going for?
We launched a website in 2017, end of 2017.
Yeah.
So now revenue is 28 million or 29 million. EBITDA 2.5 million.
Okay. So pretty decent, 10%.
Yeah.
Good. And growing.
Yeah. Cash wise, generated cash last year. Coming year, we're going negative 2.7 million.
Yeah.
Just because we're expanding so much into new categories.
Have you got trade financing?
It's difficult on a new category. No problem on cases. It's when it's a new category.
Why does it make any difference?
I mean, like maybe I think.
So do you have a trade financing facility with your bank?
Yeah, which is fine on cases and stuff. It's when you're.
How does that differ? Normally, it's
just very hard. It's hard to model out, basically.
We used to have a quite a big trade financing facility with HSBC Bank. Yeah. And it was just against forward order projections.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you ever want an intro, we'll give you an intro.
We do work, we bank with HSBC.
Do you?
Right? Yeah.
Okay, if you are off.
The thing is, though, there's been.
Are you with Innovation Bank or with normal bank?
Normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you currently raising?
We are, yes.
At what valuation?
So 2.7 times revenue.
Yeah.
So we've got some investors that have negotiated that deal, and they're looking at kind of like other businesses, so like a Logitech or a Thule, and they look there. I think they're like 3.4 times. I think a Logitech, a Thule's a 4. Osprey that got sold to Helen of Troy for about 2.7.
Yeah.
Yeti 2.5.
It depends where you are in the market at the moment. You're just basically break even, aren't you?
We're profitable. 2.5 million.
Oh, sorry, you told me 2.5.
But we've got a lot of cost on future. That hasn't been launched yet. That's launched this week. So there's a lot of cost on future stuff. So they're looking at a revenue multiplier.
The benchmark, but it's how long is a piece of string, is I would say 2 times revenue or 10 times EBITDA. But it really depends on your growth projections and where you are at the moment. I don't think a 2.7 times actual turnover or
previous.
Actual,
Last 12 months. Past 12 months, But we're growing.
I don't think that's an unrealistic valuation. Okay. And okay. Look, I want to just say to you, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to say that I like to believe, after being an entrepreneur for 35 years, I can spot another entrepreneur. And I think I've spotted one here. I really do.
Thank you very much.
I absolutely love your energy. Keep throwing yourself or throwing your products off buildings. Not so much. I can throw you down Devil's Dyke.
Fine.
It's a reasonably soft roll, but makes you well protected. And you know what? I think that your business could absolutely fly. And please approach me about any
I will get in touch and I'll tell you all of the interesting things I can't say on camera.
No, you could say on camera. You never know. But
I would love to tell you a few more interesting, exciting things we've got going on.
If I was Tim Cook, and I know you're not going to be listening to this, I do not know for why they've not hooked up with you and developed some special products, because I think when it comes to innovation, you really, that's in your DNA. You're like a kid in a candy shop that wants to make great new product. That's what it takes. Wow. Where do I start with James? I mean, he's like a bundle of energy. When you talk about having an energetic, charismatic leader, I mean, that is James. I love his inquisitive nature. I loved the way they moved to China to make sure they were developing the best performance accessories in the market. That sort of commitment is incredible. I think he said his partner is still there, Will. And that for me is commitment, that you're based where the factory is and will base where your products are produced in China. In terms of their sales, it's been an astronomical sales growth in terms of growing from 0 to nearly a £25 million turnover, making 2.5 million EBITDA. So I thought, wow, what a business. I'm a massive fan of self-publicity when it comes and the cult of an entrepreneur. And I think James is a brilliant example of that. I love all the stunts they do with throwing mobile phones off the top of a crane and making sure they don't smash. I think their USP of making the best performance accessory products is a really nice niche in the market. I think they've got an unbelievable opportunity to grow into the American market and to grow internationally and to become the number one performance accessory brand. So yeah, wow. Yeah, invest in them. A great business.